In this tutorial, we will be learning how to use Python to repeat sections of code a certain number of times. We do this using counted loops, using the for loop command, and we're going to use the range command to help us with the counting. In addition, we will have a look at how to use loops with lists. We're going to start off looking at some demonstration code called PyRPG 3 Demo, and this should be available in your classroom. I'm going to load up my version of 3 Demo and view the project code. And we can see that a for loop is a way to repeat a block of code in a set number of times. We can use a counter to do this in meaningful ways. So we're going to start off and have a look at the code that's been supplied. We're going to run it through and we're going to edit it to make sure we understand how it's doing its job. Let's start just by running first of all. Okay, so where did this output come from? The first line has been created by lines 4 and 5. So we have for x in range 6, print x, and then the end, after we've printed, is some ellipsis, a space, 3 dots, and a space. And you can see that what's been printed is 0, and then the ellipsis, then 1, and the ellipsis, then 2, ellipsis, and so on. Notice we asked for range 6, and we got 6 numbers, but the numbers started at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't see the number 6 because 0 is taking up one of these positions. On the next section, after a space, so we've left a gap, we've then got this line, which has been created with this loop. Now in the first loop, we had a single number inside the brackets. For x in range 6 went 0 to 5. Here, we've said for y in range 13, 18. Let's look at the results of that. Notice here the end is some chevrons, as in some greater than signs stuck together. And it starts at 13, and then we get 14, and 15, and 16, and 17. But again, we don't get the last number. So here we didn't quite get to 6, and here we don't quite get to 18. 13 up to, but not including 18, is the numbers that were used for y. So the range has created a bunch of numbers to count through, and y takes each of these numbers in turn and uses it to print on screen, and then afterwards we get whatever the end part of print was. Then we've left a gap, and then we have our final output here. And this was the result of the final for loop. So, for z in range, and this time we have 3 numbers. Notice we start with a 30, and our printing starts with 30. When we started with 13, we printed starting with 13. When we had only a single number, we started with 0. There's a hidden 0 acting as the first number in there. So onto our final loop for z in range. It starts at 30. It goes up to, but doesn't quite get to, 100. And it's doing it in steps of 10. So 30, add 10 is 40, add 10 is 50, add 10, add 10, add 10. And when we get to 90 and add 10, it would give us 100, but we don't quite get to the final value. So here we didn't quite get to 6, here we didn't quite get to 18, and here we don't quite get to 100, but we're going up in blocks of 10 each time. Now I want to show you a problem that might occur with your code. If I comment out this final print statement here so that we've just got the loops with end equals this, if I run this code, you'll notice that the final output hasn't appeared. Because this was end equals twiddle twiddle, it's not actually put that onto screen. If I run this again, you'll see that it appears as the starting printout. So it's kind of left over from the last run of the code. To avoid this problem, you should always, after you've used printing with a special end character, you should always put a final print that forces all the print that's waiting behind the scenes to appear on screen. So if I do that again now, this print is happening after my loops and after my special end. And now when I run it, I get the full output that I'm expecting. Okay, so what can we do with these for loops? Well, if we have a single value for x in range, if I change that to 3, what would this do to our output? Well, now we get 0, 1, 2, and we don't quite get to 3. If I have 2 values inside my for loop, and I change the starting value, so I'm going to change this start to 7, and I'm going to change this final value to 22, and if I run this again, you'll see that I start at 7, I go up one at a time through all the numbers, and I don't quite get to 22. I stop at 21 and don't show the final end number. And then if I take this down here, I could start at 3. I could go up to 17. And I'm going to do that in blocks of 4. And if I run this again, 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 4 is 11, plus 4 is 15, plus 4 is 19. But I don't get to 19 because I stop when I get to 17 or above. Now I'm going to show you a couple of tricks that we can do if we include the time library in our code and use that as part of our counted loops. So the first example I'm going to have is where we count up. So I'm going to come down to my code here. Actually, I'm going to start off, whenever we use libraries, it's always a good idea to put them at the very top of the code. So I'm going to say import time. And time is a special library that lets us work with actual meaningful times. So what I'm going to say here is, for count in range 1, 4, so that should start at 1 and then go up but not reach 4, so 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to say here, print count. And then what I'm going to do is say time.sleep. And time.sleep is going to pause the program. And I'm going to say in here for 1 second. Just before I do this, I'm going to print to finish this off from before. I'm going to put a /n, a couple of /n's to leave a gap, and I'm going to say I will give you to the count of 3. Okay, so let's see what this looks like now. I will give you to the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. The loops are complete. So notice that this time our loop came on with roughly a second between each number appearing. Let's try that again. Run. I'll give you the count of 3. 1, 1, 2, 3, and then the loops are completed. So we can put pauses into our code using this. And then one other trick that I'm going to show you here is for blast off in range And I'm going to have this here. I'm going to start it at 10. I'm going to go down to 0. And my step, the third number, is going to be -1. So this should count backwards. And so here, I'm then going to say print blast off, and then end equals, and I'm just going to put in some ellipsis there. I'm then going to use time.sleep1 to wait for 1 second. And at the end of it, I'm then going to print release the fireballs. Maybe with a /n at the start to make sure it goes to the next line. Let's see what we get now. So I'll give you the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And you see that it all came on in one go after 10 seconds there. All right, so it looks as if our print end is causing the problem there. Let's take the end bit off. So the end bit's delaying when it shows the actual printout in this window here. I don't think it would do it with a normal Python program that was running standalone on your computer, but in this browser it's causing a problem. So let's try one more time, and then we'll just say beforehand print countdown to the inferno. Okay, so we'll run that. I'll give you to the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Countdown to the inferno. 10, 9, 8. So you can see this countdown is coming on one number at a time instead of all appearing at the same time. And then we release the fireballs. So hopefully you have a good understanding now of how these numbers are used to change the repeats and the counts. If there's one number, it will count up to but not quite get there because it uses 0 as one of the counted numbers. If there's 2 numbers, it will start with the first number and end just before it gets to the second number. And if there are 3 numbers, it starts at the first, it stops when it gets to just before the second, and it goes up in blocks, or if it's negative, it goes down in blocks, which are represented by the third number. So hopefully you can use this information in the rest of the exercises in this lesson.